Hi guys, I'm a Forester here. I make 70 to 80 videos every year, and this top 10 knife video is my favorite to record of all. It gives me a chance to handle each knife in my collection and reflect on how I value it. Now I used to show my whole collection, but I've pared it down to just my top 10 knives now. The knives that I'm about to show you are ranked in order based on a number of factors, including materials, quality of construction, their function, their price, and how much fun they are to carry. And that's what it's really all about, isn't it? You can look at it as if these would be the last 10 knives in my collection if I sold off all the rest. And the number one knife would be the last knife that I would keep if I was forced to sell them all, except for one. So let's get right to it. And number 10 on the list is my Reeve small Sebenza, and it has snakewood inlays. It's a beautiful knife, and it's made with first-class materials and excellent quality of construction. It's a great high-end EDC knife, and who knows, next year maybe the small Sebenza won't make it into my top 10. Some got dropped off the list this year. So let's give it one last look just in case it doesn't make it on the list next year. Now number 9 on the list is my Strider SMF. This was one of my Grail knives that I purchased in 2015. It ranks higher than the small Sebenza mainly because of its greater capabilities. It isn't ranked any higher mainly because I see it as a generalist EDC blade, and it doesn't excel at any particular function. Now I know I'm going to hear from some of you out there on that statement, but that's how I feel about it. It also has very unique looks that haven't totally grown on me yet. Number 8 on the list is my Emerson Gentleman Gem. Now here's a knife that does excel at a specific function, that of tactical folder. It's a high quality knife that I would trust with my life. And even though it's not as expensive as the Strider, I still rank it higher on the list. Number 7 on the list is another Reeve knife. This is my Reeve Monundi. You've seen this knife a lot on my channel. The Monundi is the second of 3 Reeve knives that's going to make it to my top 10. If you followed my channel, you know how I feel about this knife. It's absolutely gorgeous. If money were no object, I'd collect these Monundis because I think it's the ideal gentleman folder. Okay, this might be a surprise, but number 6 on the list is my Benchmade 940. This knife had the highest drop in ratings from my top 10 list a year ago. Now I still love the 940, mainly because it's so lightweight and it's a multi-purpose EDC and tactical knife. Its drop in my rankings is primarily due to the quality of the remaining top 5 knives though. And number 5 on the list is this ZT0801. Now this is the perfect example of a new knife that ranks higher than the 940. Like the 940, it's a multi-purpose knife, but it serves both EDC and tactical roles. And the flipper action is a load of fun, and it makes it one of the most carried knives that I own. Number 4 on my list is the Klotzley Walker O5. Now I classify this Klotzley Walker O5 as a large gentleman folder. It's a beautiful knife, and it comes in at a price point similar to the large Sebenza. It has unique looks, but they really appeal to me. I rank it higher than the ZT0801 primarily because of its price. I'd hate to part with it. Now number 3 on the list is this ZT0561. This is probably the most carried knife in my collection. I rank it higher than the Klotzley mainly because of its capabilities. It's a great general EDC knife, but it can also serve as a tactical knife. That offsets the Klotzley's price advantage. The 561 fits better in my hand than the 801, and that's one reason it's ranked higher. Now number 2 on the list is my Reeve large Sebenza. This isn't a new knife to you if you follow my channel. The large Sebenza actually moved up slightly from last year's rankings. I have a new appreciation for it in comparison to the other top 10 knives. It's a great looking knife, especially with those rosewood inlays, and it's a multi-function knife as a large gentleman folder, but it also can serve a tactical role if needed. All right, drum roll please, because the number 1 knife on my list this year, and the last knife that I would keep if I had to get rid of them all, is the Hilti XM24. I was fortunate enough to buy this Grail knife that I've sought for years. It's a fantastic multifunction knife serving both EDC and tactical roles. It's a good looking knife, and I always prefer that flipper action to the thumb stud deployment of the large Sebenza. Although the large Sebenza has it on looks, the XM24 is more fun to carry. And as a result, it finds its way into my pocket more often. Now don't go yet. I've covered my top 10, but I have 2 honorable mentions. You know, whenever I buy a new knife, I consider whether it would be a top 10 knife. But as I add more top 10 knives, some knives get dropped from the list. And 2 knives that I hated to see go this year, one is the Spyderco Sage series, and I'm going to represent those by the Sage 4 with these desert ironwood grips. It's very similar to the small Sebenza, but it comes in at a lower price point. And the other knife that I hated to see go is the CRKT Ripple. You know, it's amazing that the Ripple holds its own with knives that are much more expensive. It's one of my go-to knives and probably my favorite flipper. So there you have it, guys, my top 10 knives of 2016. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Y'all take care.